You're listening to Comic Reflections, episode 195. I'm your host, Nicholas Prom.
And I'm Jeff Barnhart, the anti-Nick Prom.
Ain't it the truth?
Yeah.
Comic Reflections is brought to you by Rhymes with Geek. You can find our show and many other cool podcasts like the all-new Anti-Fanboy, Super Podcasto Magnifico, and Superhero Speak at rhymeswithgeek.com. And if you enjoyed this program, please subscribe to us on either iTunes or Stitcher.
Mm-hmm.
So, Jeff, this episode, we're going to talk about another DC 100-page super spectacular.
Yep.
It's World's Finest, number 227, which is the January and February issue from 1975. And the lead story is called Death Flaunts Its Golden Grin, written by Bob Haney, penciled by Dick Dillon, and inked by Tex Blaisdell, who was one of my friend Ethan's teachers at the Kubert School.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. The issue starts with Superman destroying the Statue of Liberty, but it's a fake Statue of Liberty.
But the cops don't seem to know that, and so they give Superman a ticket.
Yeah, it's some duplicate. And, alright, back in the 70s, gold, the selling of gold and actually holding it in America was illegal.
Which is weird.
Yeah, and stupid. They finally got rid of it. It was hoping to end inflation, but it didn't work.
Right.
So.
Yeah, but what a weird thing, and then to have it referenced in comics is kind of interesting.
Yeah. So somebody is trying to smuggle gold into the United States, and they have a lot of gold. Devalue the money to make it worthless, like in Weimar, Germany, where 1 billion marks could buy a loaf of bread.
Yikes! Yeah.
Now the problem is that Batman's brother Thomas is taken over by the Deadman, by the Deadman, and okay, and Batman's making super boners all the time. The Superman didn't have to destroy the Statue of Liberty. Batman goes after this guy he thinks is Deadman, but it's not, and he's making mistakes. And the boner thing was from the Joker. Remember that?
Yeah. So. I do. There's a sign where a story from I think the 50s where the Joker is saying like, "Oh, Batman pulling boners" or "Joker's boners," and then he's trying to out boner Batman. Well, the term boner has gained a different meaning since then, so it becomes kind of a wacky joke.
Yeah.
But it just meant
kind of sad.
It just meant like, "Oh, you goofed up publicly, or embarrassingly so."
You pulled a Homer.
Yeah.
So, actually, a Homer's, or is when you make a mistake and it turns out okay?
Yeah, it's to succeed despite idiocy.
Right. Okay.
That was what they defined it as on The Simpsons. But yeah, okay. There's Thomas Wayne Jr. is the brother that Batman didn't know he had until like a few issues ago, and so he believes that Deadman has taken over his body, and so Batman is tracking down all these aerialists, and daredevils, thinking one of them will be Thomas Wayne Jr. So.
Yeah, and Batman is grabbing them while they're in show. So they're jumping off a trampoline or
a trapeze
and all that stuff, and he unmasked them. Couldn't he wait until before or after the show and sort of
right? But I think it looks visually striking in a comic, but it is kind of questionable.
Right. So Superman's ticked off at Batman for messing up so much. So we go into why gold is so important, and
there's like fears that it's gonna like ruin America.
And we had this great scene of people with wheelbarrows full of money burning it because it's worthless. So,
right.
Yeah. I think people from the 70s would look at money today and think, wow, this is worthless, because a quarter used to buy a big old candy bar and all this, and you could buy things for a penny. There's nothing you can buy for a penny now.
No.
Yeah. Back in the day, get
Yeah.
off my lawn. So, alright, so they're trying. Okay, so they split up. Superman's going after his plan, and Batman's going after his brother.
Yeah. Whatever Superman's doing is really vague, and it doesn't seem like we can. It's like it's really a Batman story that Superman is kind of part of.
Yeah.
It's not really a team up.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, he goes after this Red Daredevil Devlin, is another guy he thinks is Deadman taking over
Right.
his brother's
And
body.
this gets confusing. So there's another guy who's Magnificent Marco, and he's dressed up too, and they're in competition, and they got.
Yeah, and Marco is a criminal.
Mhm.
He's up to
He's
deeds
in
of
charge
misdoing.
He's in charge of the Golden Flood.
Oh, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's where
As
Superman
opposed
comes
to Golden Showers, which has nothing to do with
in. Oh
the
my
story.
God.
Okay. So, it is, okay. The entire plot is of villainy. Is they put they put gold in gondolas of balloons and float them over America, which is moronic.
Yeah.
And it's stupid. So they fly so high that people would think that it's a satellite. Then it comes down, and you grab it, and
Yeah.
you know, all that gold can buy you a lot more stuff to really mess up America than it would take $1 trillion.
Is the
worth of
plan
gold.
to mess up America, or is it to get rich smuggling gold?
Well, they're worried that's going to mess up the dollar.
The heroes are, but the bad guys, I don't think it's their plan to mess up the dollar. At least I didn't get that out of this. I thought they were just, greedy.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe that's it. But I always think big when dealing with comic books.
Right.
They can't just be making money. They got to blow up the world or something.
You're right.
So, all right. So Batman buys a biplane and he flies after the guy who's in a balloon,
Right.
who he thinks is his brother. And there's the balloon outmaneuvers the airplane.
Yeah.
And Batman crashes. And he's saved by a. Oh, is that? Okay. We got another balloon fight coming up. Superman goes and he goes to where the headquarters is, and he sees all these helium tanks. Says, "Huh, wonder what those are for." Oh goodness! All right. Yeah. So. All right. So there's a bunch of stuff about Marco and blah 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 blah, and then here comes Batman. He grabs another, the
Daredevil Devlin.
and it's not Thomas either. So, but he is a criminal, so he kicks Batman out, and Batman is saved by Thomas with a balloon, and so Batman hits the top of the balloon.
Yeah. Now Thomas is possessed by Deadman.
Right. So Deadman saves Batman.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Thomas has any recollection.
No, when Deadman takes you over, you don't know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Man, these are some maneuverable balloons, man.
Yeah, which is crap. I've ridden a hot air balloon, and they're not that maneuverable, like at all.
They're super awesome.
They're great. It was such a cool thing to ride in a hot air balloon.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so there's another fight. Batman's kicked out. He's saved in a balloon. Superman shows up and starts kicking butt.
So, Batman ties Deadman up,
right.
which is Thomas Wayne,
Mm-hmm.
and then Deadman leaves Thomas Wayne's body to help Batman somehow.
Right. And then Thomas gets out, gets free.
Right.
And then he comes and saves Batman and gets killed.
Yeah. And so Batman, he just found out that he had this brother and then loses him. Also, he was kind of like mentally like messed up. Like not by Deadman, but that was like the thing with Thomas Wayne Jr.
Yeah.
So.
Oh well, and Batman cries.
Yeah. Well, wouldn't you? You lost a brother.
Depends on the brother. So.
Yeah, but like, if you were an orphan, and then you found out you had a brother, wouldn't it be? You'd want to like be with him and stuff.
I'm being silly.
I know.
But, but you know, I don't think with the new Batman cry.
No, neither of the new Batmans. I haven't seen Batfleck in anything, and I don't think.
No. I'm talking about in comics.
Oh,
he's always
currently?
so deadly serious.
I don't know. I don't think.
I didn't see him laugh.
No, I can't think of a time post Bronze Age where I've seen Batman smile or cry or laugh. Just haven't.
Oh, in Silver Age he laughed.
That's why I said post Bronze Age.
Oh, Bronze Age. Yeah. Okay. I forget that the Bronze Age comes after the Silver Age in comics. So
right.
I'm thinking about history. The Bronze Age is before. Okay.
Right. Well, in comics history,
Mm-hmm.
Let's just go back a little refresher. The Golden Age being the very late 30s and through the early 50s.
And then the Silver Age.
Silver Age being like, the late 50s and the 1960s.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Bronze Age is the 70s and the early 80s.
Yeah. So after that, it's a cubic zirconium age.
Jesus. Yeah. But we don't need to talk about that.
Right.
But anyway, first of several backups in this issue, because it's a 100-page super spectacular. Yay! These issues are really fun. I enjoy them. Just the amount of content you get out of them is great. But this first backup it's called The Secret of Mount Olympus, and it's a reprint from Rip Hunter Time Master number 11 from 1962, and it was written by Jack Miller with art by Bill Eli. And it's really cool. Rip Hunter's profile has been raised significantly of late because there's a new show coming to the CW called The Heroes of Tomorrow, or Legends of Tomorrow, excuse me. And Rip Hunter is a major character on that show.
What's the show about?
Time-traveling superhero team adventures with Rip Hunter, the Atom, the Flash, Green Arrow, Captain Cold, Hawkgirl, and more. And it's going to be cool.
Wow.
And Firestorm, too.
Yeah, but superheroes going back into, say, 1820s, something like that, can really kick butt, and no one can do anything about them.
Yeah.
And it's almost, unless there's a evil group of super villains fighting them.
Here's the premise. They're fighting Vandal Savage, the immortal villain, who has lived for thousands of years. So they're traveling back in time to, thwart his plans of the things he's been setting up to take over the world in the present, which is pretty neat.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
they're introducing time travel. Which means there's a possibility that we could get the Legion later.
Yeah.
Which would be awesome. So anyway,
all he has to do is go into early 1980s and invest in Microsoft and Apple, and then he would control the world. So
maybe.
Yeah.
So.
And a little, yeah. But, you would control so much that you did that and bought some Google. You could topple nations.
Yeah, you could.
Whenever it's been done. I don't know. So, oh well. So The Secret of Mount Olympus. Apparently, I don't know. They see this picture. These scientists.
Who is they? Oh,
the scientist.
Rip Hunter and his
Professor Blake.
Yeah.
It's a impression left by a griffin, and so they obviously have to rush back into time and find out about it, which is odd. And they don't tell what this impression was, or
it's like a footprint or something.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, they're like, griffins aren't supposed to exist. Because they're just pretend. So we got to go and investigate what this is about. Also, how would you be able to tell a griffin print from a lion print?
Yeah, because lions were in Europe.
Yeah.
Until quite recently, in a stretch of time,
Yeah, and it's like a griffin is like a lion's body with a bird's head and wings.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So maybe it's really big. Or
something like that. Anyway.
I don't know.
Anyway, a weak premise starts us off.
Yeah. Oh, so they got to go back in time, and of course, there's got to be a beautiful girl, Bonnie, and she is a cutie pie.
Yeah. And a stupid kid to come along because reasons.
Yeah, man.
What is this, Rocky Jones, Space Ranger?
Yeah.
Although that was a not very distant memory, that show, at the time this was created, so...
Yeah. They got this, like a bathysphere, but it's a time sphere.
Yeah.
You know? So they go back in time, and
they immediately run into centaurs.
Right.
Which is weird.
Mm-hmm. They hide in the water using the old straw trick, which is cool.
Yeah.
I think that's the only trick that riders know in the outdoor trick is.
It's like, oh, take a reed or something from the water and use it as a tube to breathe in to hide.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how well that would actually work too.
Oh, it would work okay.
Yeah.
And you couldn't smell the people. I mean, the only thing you have to be, if somebody's really looking carefully, they could maybe hear the breathing or see that the reeds look a little bit different.
Right.
But if you're just clip-clopping along. All right, so they meet Calypso, and Calypso's mad at them. So Calypso turns one of them into a griffin themselves. Oh, it's Jeff.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Okay. And I hate it when people mess with the Jeff. That really makes me mad.
So Calypso is like this witch or whatever.
Yeah. And she looks hag-like. And so Rip is being attacked by Jeff in griffin form. And, but the boy, what's the boy's name?
I forgot.
Yeah, well, he saves Rip, which is kind of cool. So they go to Mount Olympus. They talk to I think they talk to a sheep herder. And they tell him, hey, go to Mount Olympus. Okay. And they meet Zeus. And Theseus. And Theseus thinks that Bonnie is the Shazizzle. So he wants to marry her. So,
back when you could just like, oh, I just met a girl, I'm going to marry that girl.
Yeah.
Like, wow. I remember hearing stories about people from like the 30s who were like, yeah, I knew him 2 days, and then they got married, and they spent they were married for 70 years, like crazy stuff like that. So
right, yeah. Good thing Bonnie is come prepared for adventure. She's wearing a red dress
and heels.
Yes,
I think. Yeah.
Man. Vanity, thy name is woman.
Oh man.
But at least in comic books, anyway.
Yeah. Oh man.
Can't they wear sensible shoes? So they're made to go get this tree of golden apples from Calypso. So, man, they really try hard. I'll go into why this is really stupid, but later on.
Okay.
If you haven't gotten the gist of it yet. So Bonnie and Rip go down and this garden, and it's really dangerous, and they're fighting it, and oh god,
there's like a whirlpool or something weird.
And they send a turd-like rock.
Oh my gosh!
It does.
I did not even pick up on that. Yes, it is rather turd-like.
All right, let's see. We got a
house ad.
Yay! Young Romance Action Comics. Superman unleashing the world's greatest action heroes, and Justice League America Unexpected, Shazam, World's Finest.
And see, that's the issue that we're reading.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, this is another house ad for the 100-page Super Spectaculars for only 60 cents.
Man. Wow. I don't think there's anything in the comic book store now you can buy for 60 cents.
If a comic shop happens to have like maybe 50-cent bins, but you're not going to get 100 pages of comics for that, or quarter bins. But that's not like a standard thing that you'll find at every comic shop. I'm always happy when I come across dollar bins because sometimes you can find some cool things. But yeah.
All right. So they get attacked by a rock, and they figure out how to get out of that. Then they get into quicksand.
Which we've talked about before.
Corky! That's the boy's name. Corky.
Oh, man.
Corky saves him by taking. Well, he doesn't save them. He gets the bush of golden apples and takes it to Mount Olympus. And let's see. Zeus comes by riding a winged horse. I guess it's a Pegasi.
Yeah.
And they throw these golden apples, and they freeze people. So the golden apple is a weapon.
Okay.
All right, so they're released from the quicksand. They didn't go far down. It was more like concrete sand.
Sure.
And they sunk down and got stuck.
And so Corky's sad because he can't save them.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
Well, Zeus comes. So he goes off, gets Zeus. Zeus comes back and he saves the day. But Zeus is not a Grecian god. He is a slimy old alien. And the alien who comes to Greece, and the people treat him like a god. So he said, "Okay, free food and then free stuff. So all I gotta do is pretend to be a god."
Yeah,
Yay.
and so they just stayed on Earth until they could repair their ship or whatever, or maybe they were marooned. But anyway, yeah, and so this is where all the Greek mythology comes from, apparently.
And Calypso was a good guy, a good girl.
Yeah.
So they fight against him. They use a Trojan horse. It's not a bad idea.
I can't remember what they used the Trojan horse for. I forgot.
Oh, they're sneaking into Mount Olympus.
Oh.
They've got to turn off the gizmo that powers all their weapons.
Right.
Because it's always a good plan to have all your weapons tied to one single switch.
Hey, like in that Doctor Doom story we recently read.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's funny.
Genius villain my butt. So, all right, so there's a lot of fighting. Theseus, who's in love with Bonnie, helps out the guys from certain death, the good guys. And so Zeus is beaten. And okay, but Rip shoots into the device that powers everybody's weapons.
He didn't just turn the switch off. He shoots it with a pistol.
I like his style.
Yeah, it is kind of fun. It makes for a good panel.
Yeah.
Instead of the panel of him just like flipping something off, turning something off.
Yeah. Bam, bam, boom. Yeah. Okay. Oh, now Bonnie is kind of sad. She has to say no to Theseus. And Theseus is sad because he doesn't get to date Bonnie. But,
yeah.
Oh, well.
So, do the Greek aliens, they have to leave Earth or something?
Yeah, and they apologize.
We're sorry.
Yeah.
And so then Bonnie and Corky and Rip go back to the future.
And Jeff, don't forget Jeff.
And Jeff, yeah, after they
He's the most important guy.
Right, I forgot him.
Yes.
Sorry.
Interesting idea, which was done in Star Trek, Who Mourns for Adonis.
Oh, right.
Which is a great episode.
Sure.
Well written. Interesting idea, just lame. The golden apples or grenades. It's so stupid. It's just, I don't know. It's not a good mix of science fiction and mythology.
Yeah.
It could have been done better. Great idea, though.
See, if this was a Superman story where he went back and that was all that stuff, I'd probably like it.
Yeah,
I think you can have dumb ideas
if it's goofily done and all this stuff. But this has a...
There's a blandness to this.
Yeah.
But...
And a patina of science.
Yeah.
Which is... You're not going to do it scientifically or something. Don't do it at all. I mean, don't try to... Oh, you got a professor, so it's scientifically realistic. No. It's just... And either just be completely stupid and do it, or do it scientifically correct.
Yeah. I think the idea is, it's kid stuff, and you put a little bit of science in it, and then maybe you make some ask questions about science or interested in science. Even if the science doesn't work,
yeah,
they're like, wow, that scientist really saved the day. I'm going to be a scientist. That's kind of a good idea.
But who cares about them? I'm talking about the 52-year-old Jeff Barnum. What does this comic say to me? So, yeah, you're absolutely correct. And
I think we figured out what it says to you, but
yeah, I think something I don't know. I watched stuff as a kid, and I thought it was the greatest thing ever. And then 20 years later watching, it was Drek, and I was shocked.
But if something moves you into some kind of action or further interest in something serious, that's good.
Yeah.
Even if it does turn out to be Drek 20 years later.
Yeah. Even as a teenager, I thought that Welcome Back, Kotter was funny, and then I watched it 20 years later. I said, "Oh my God, this is awful. This is not funny at all." And
I'm not going to defend sitcoms, but I think something with the, as you put it, the patina of science, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
You know, if it makes it cool and interesting, and makes you want to check out the real thing, that's good.
Yeah. Johnny Quest. I watched it as a kid. I really loved it. And as a teenager, it says, "Oh, this is corny and stupid." Then as an adult, it says, "This is really wonderful."
Yeah.
There's some scientific mistakes, but wonderful jazz soundtrack, beautifully drawn. I think the animation I'd put that against anything else.
Well, yeah, and character designs by Alex Toth, who was one of the greats in comics. So, yay!
Yeah. Not a Bandit fan, but I mean, just really, man, the music is so good.
Yeah.
And music will make a show or break it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, or a movie. So, I don't think Star Wars would have been Star Wars without John Williams.
No, it would have been something mediocre.
And it would have been John Williams without Holst.
Yeah. Very good.
Okay.
So,
all right. This is I know this is your favorite comic book at all time.
Oh, man.
Vigilante!
Okay, yes, we do have a couple more backups in this. And yes, this one's called the Reformed Owl Hoots Club. It's a reprint from Action Comics number 188, which is from January of 1954. This story was written by Dick Wood, with art by Howard Sherman. And yes, it's the Vigilante. He's the country and western singer on a motorcycle who's also a superhero.
No superpowers, though.
No.
Except,
yeah. I think
he's really good with the gun.
I kind of like him, and he's a character that they've kept along. Not a great name, because that's like saying being a superhero and your name is Superhero.
Yeah.
You know?
Did you watch?
But I do like him in the Seven Soldiers of Victory.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. There is a police squad where Frank Drebin becomes a locksmith, and he goes into the bad guy's office, and he walks in, and the bad guy says, "Who are you, and how'd you get in here?" And he says, "I'm a locksmith, and I'm a locksmith." And this is, he's the vigilante who's a vigilante. So,
yeah.
And, okay. Let's go to Owl Hoots. I thought that was a made-up comic book name, but no, it is really what they call villains in the Old West. That's printable, I guess.
Yeah.
So I think it's stupid, but what do I know?
I think you know a few things, because I think it's kind of dumb too. But the whole concept of the Reformed Owl Hoots Club, the Vigilante, what a good guy he is. He is helping former criminals to clean up their act. And they're kind of like using their criminal tricks to, like, I don't know, be good now or something.
Yeah. Learning how to fight crime.
Yeah.
So they're using their roping skills and their shooting skills and their riding skills.
So, but see, what if some of them were faking it and they just learned everything from Vigilante and they knew how to beat him up?
True.
You know?
Well, yeah. This is a simple world of black and white. So there's nobody gray here.
Right.
And I don't mind black and white, no gray, but this is not here. So it's I don't know. So, okay, what's the boss's name? Ben Boulder. He says last name's not Over, so, but he's angry. These Owl Hoots have been reformed, and someone says, "Looks like they get more fun out of going straight." And it's
because crime is fun. That's what they're saying. By saying that, oh man, they're having more fun being good guys instead of having a blast committing crimes. I don't know anybody. To me, crime, especially petty crime, armed robbery. This is acts of desperation, not like, man, this will be great. This is going to be so much fun. So I think that's weird.
Oh, au contraire. I think a lot of people think that doing that is fun, and the excitement of taking out some of it's desperation. There's never all crooks don't do this. A, B,
there's not a uniformity for the reasons behind it.
But a lot of the crimes, I think, are done just for the hell of it. Vandalism. I mean, you have a desperate need to put graffiti on a railroad car? No.
Okay.
And if you get caught, you're gonna be fined, and you want to take your stuff away. So stuff might happen that'll be bad. Speeding. I mean, that's not a big deal, but really speeding, Fast and Furious speeding, people do that. They're not desperate to get to speed 90 miles an hour. They're doing it for fun. I do think that robbing banks can be fun to some people. Not me. It's not my cup of tea, but not everybody. People get off on killing other people.
Sure.
John Wayne Gacy and all that, and they enjoyed it. So I'm
sure.
But sometimes it is act of desperation. But yeah. Oh well. But I think the comic book was trying to say, hey, being straight is fun too.
Okay.
So. Yeah, okay, we're not going to go there. I know what you're thinking.
No, I was not.
Yes, you were. Don't lie to me, son.
For like a second, I thought it, and I was like, I'm not going to say a thing. And now you've kind of opened it, but we'll just close it back up and talk about this comic.
Let's go gaily forward. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Just
go!
Okay. All right. So, Ben Boulder he got these owl hoots. Okay, he's got it. All right. What did I write? Ben Boulder wants to make the ex-owl hoots into owl hoots of good standing by having real owl hoots pretend to be the ex-owl hoots. And I just don't give a hoot.
Yeah.
And
so confusion ensues because Vigilante is coming across these crimes that are like the signature moves of people he knows are reformed now. And so he gets all confusicated.
Yeah. Ben Boulder has the Vigilante Club filmed. And then...
Right. And then he's using those moves to train people in crime. Oh my gosh. I swear there's a Batman school, like a school for crime or something like that. There was a story.
Yeah. Oh my. Oh. And the house ad, Tarzan, Wiz Comics, Superman.
These are the Treasury editions, mostly reprints, and occasionally some of those were all new stuff. But yeah,
I wish the picture's a little bit bigger. That'd be nice. But
yeah,
you can't really see them.
I love those Treasury editions. I wish they weren't so big.
Oh, these are really huge ones?
Yeah, those are those big old things.
For a table or something like that?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's such a cool format, but it's like, where are you going to put them?
Right.
And now they're expensive to collect too. I'm like, some of them are. Certain ones, like the Muhammad Ali, like don't. Oh my God, But
I had the Superman versus Flash.
Oh yeah.
Which I gave away to someone, I think.
Yeah, but I had a friend who had the Wiz Comics one, the debut of Captain Marvel, and I read that and I was like, oh, that was the beginning of my love of that character.
Oh, cool.
So yeah.
All right, so the Vigilante defeats crime and he wins. That's the end.
Yeah, I don't want to dwell on it either, so that's fine.
All right, it's John Jones, Manhunter from Mars.
Yes, hang on, let me get the credits going. Yes, this story is called The Man with 20 Lives, and it's a reprint from Detective Comics number 227 from 1956. The story was written by Jack Miller with art by Joe Certa. Now, this is only the third ever John Jones story. He debuted in Detective Comics number 225.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I've read that story. I had a reprint of it when I was a kid. And I thought it was pretty cool.
Okay. All right.
So he becomes a detective who works with the police department.
Right. Like is this the first time he becomes a detective? Or
no, that's the premise from like the word go.
All right.
And most of the time, you don't see him in his Martian form. He has all these powers, and he's just doing detective stuff.
He is in his human form with the outline of the Martian.
Like
so you know he's a Martian.
Right.
Because he's kind of nondescript.
Yeah.
He just looked... I don't know.
And he learns the ways of Earth from watching television. That's always been his kick. Martian Manhunter loves TV.
Really? I didn't know that. So that's
yeah, they don't talk about it so much here, but like in later stories, like, oh yeah, he's a TV junkie.
Okay.
So.
Interesting. All right, so there's a murder, and Monty Fisk is presumed guilty of it, but he has an alibi. He was sleeping at noon on June 4th. John Jones does not believe him, so he's
a telepath, so he knows he's a liar. So he's got to uncover where he was. So but here's the thing: how come his not open and shut knows exactly where he was because he could read his mind? I guess he still has to establish that the alibi is malarkey, because he can't say, "Well, I read his mind; he's guilty."
Actually, yeah, because he sees him shoot. All right, his alibi is that he was asleep at noon on June 4th, and John Jones sees into his mind that he is shooting when a clock goes off. Okay. He shoots an Earthman weapon. John Jones is a detective. He doesn't know what a gun is.
Here's the thing. They want to remind you every chance they get that this guy's from Mars. He doesn't know the ways of Earth and what we call things and everything. So he's calling it an Earth weapon is kind of like, keeping it very science fiction-y, even though it could be almost a straight detective story.
Yeah. Indeed, yeah.
It's a weird mix.
And it's absurd.
Yeah.
As a detective, I would learn what a weapon was. That's a revolver. It could look really stupid to the other.
Well, and here's the thing: if you're a mind reader, you don't have to work that hard at being a detective either.
Right. So he sees a guy shooting, and he sees the clock, and he sees that it's noon. But you can't take that into court, I guess.
Right.
Your Honor, I saw it in my mind when he shot.
Exactly. So he has to he knows he did it, and he's got to find the proof now.
Okay.
To nail him.
So
which is interesting.
Yeah.
And it's weird though that he has all these powers, and he's not just fighting crime as the Martian Manhunter, the big green guy. Right. He's pretending to be human and solving these crimes as a human being.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah, that is weird. Maybe he's trying to be fair.
Or it's just this is something very different than other superhero books, because you don't see him just in superhero guys, other than in the Justice League.
I think he doesn't want anybody to know there's a Martian. And if he goes into superhero guys, they're gonna know. People want to know there's a superhero around, like Superman does.
Yeah.
Superman doesn't care that people know there's Superman. The Martian Manhunter does not want anybody to know there's Martians.
Sure.
I'm not sure why. That makes sense.
But people have their own reasoning for things. So John Jones has some layers, and there's interesting stuff about it.
Yeah. Okay, so Monty Fisk says, go kill John Jones. He's got a bunch of flunkies, and they run him over, and it doesn't do any good. They throw him over a bridge. He survives. They throw a safe on him.
Yeah. And of course it doesn't do anything, because he just, becomes intangible and falls into the earth or something, or lets it fall through him. I think it's really cool because it's what if Superman just did all his stuff in secret like this? Yeah. And people didn't even know there was a Superman. It's really weird that a guy has all these powers, and he just tries to do it on the sly.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
Because Superman came to Earth as a child,
yeah,
and then grew up here. Okay,
right.
Martian Manhunter is a fish out of water, learning the ways of Earth. It's there's a lot of neat possibilities with this.
Yeah, Martian Manhunter might be more logical.
Yeah.
All right. Martian Manhunter since he is unknown, does not have to worry about his friends. does not have to worry about his uncle getting killed by
Yeah.
a bad guy. Doesn't have to worry about the nosy girlfriend.
Right. And, all those things are comic book cliches,
Mhm.
but having those cliches in place tend to be inherently interesting because they put the hero in peril or the people they care about in peril.
Yeah.
John Jones doesn't have anybody, and so why do we care?
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, it's not my favorite. It was interesting. It's a kind of, I don't know.
It's a great idea, and there's a lot of cool stuff going on with it, but doesn't end up the finished product doesn't end up being an exciting comic.
Right. Yeah. It's in the twilight zone between golden and silver when everything was kind of a golden age. Everything's new and interesting because it's new. Then silver, when it transitions, a lot of it's hackneyed already and kind of old. And it's not well done, but it still looks kind of like golden age. But it's still not. Then later on Silver Age, they polish it up. It looks better and it's more wacky, and they have more fun with it.
Yeah.
And the plots are a little bit more interesting. This is kind of in the between to me.
And I'll agree with that. And I have something to add. I think, let's recall that, the Silver Age at DC really begins with The Flash in Showcase number 4, 1956. This is the first new hero of the Silver Age, okay? And, okay, he was revamping an old character and concept and doing something new with it. John Jones is a wholly new thing, and he's an experiment that works in some ways but fails in all of the key areas that make him like lead feature material. So he's an oddity at that time.
Yeah, I think he's an oddity now. He should. I think he's a sidekick or something, or a member of a team. I don't think can be a hero.
I mean, I wouldn't buy a Martian Manhunter book. I would.
Unless it was on sale.
Well, right. I mean, like, I wouldn't pick up that series like as it's coming out. He had his own book, but it didn't last.
Yeah, and Afraid of Fire, man. Well, that's another thing. If you're not known, people cannot know. They don't know the superhero. They don't know They don't know that the fact that there is a superhero. They don't know
that he has a weakness that they can exploit,
right?
Which is a key trope that makes this stuff interesting.
Yeah, and it just
like he has a weakness. He knows about it.
Yeah, and it's kind of there's fire, so I better get away. And it's really it's ridiculously adverse to fire.
Yeah, it's just like fire hurts people too.
Yeah,
and like, it shouldn't be any different. Is he like super fire hurt him extra bad? Like I don't.
Yeah,
I
didn't even think about that. Yeah,
it's like Superman is vulnerable to this supposedly rare element that turns up everywhere, kryptonite.
Right.
But even a little bit of it kind of like makes him hurt.
Right.
But Martian Manhunter, it's like, okay, fire hurts like regular people.
Right.
Is it established that like it hurts him real bad, like more than us, like he's more sensitive to it?
He acts like he's a little girl and there's a spider in the room.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So it's weird. So anyway, he solves the crime.
Yeah, by scaring the guy going crazy. Hey, we have DC Comics stars on the screen.
Yeah, there's 3 pages of filler talking about the up to this point in it's 1976 or so, 75. DC comic characters adapted to screen, and of course they talk about the Superman Fleischer cartoons, which are wonderful.
Oh man, yeah.
And of course the Batman's had a pair of serials in the movies, and also.
They mentioned the 66 TV series, and they said it created a camp atmosphere of jokes and puns that even pervaded my normally serious comic mags.
They weren't all that serious. But also they do mention that the Vigilante, who we talked about earlier, and Congo Bill also had their own serials, as well as Blackhawk, who was a character at Quality Comics and later bought by DC. But yeah,
interesting.
I'd be curious to see. I really would like to see the Blackhawk serial. And Kirk Alyn plays Blackhawk.
Oh.
Kirk Alyn was Superman in the 2 Superman serials.
Yeah. We could do Blackhawk would be a pretty cool cartoon.
Yeah,
be,
or TV series,
or a movie for that matter.
Yeah,
but
I mean, they'd have to like make sure Chop is done not racistly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But they kind of cleaned him up in the Silver Age, even, so I think it'd be okay.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about the last story in this issue, and I think this is the best in the book.
I agree.
Yeah.
The Cape and Cowl Crooks.
Yes, which is a reprint from World's Finest, number 159, from back in August of 1966. And it was written by Edmund Hamilton, who was one of the best writers on Superman, with art penciled by Kurt Swan and inked by George Klein. So it's the super classic Superman art team as well. So this is great. It's 1966, and this is definitely capitalizing on the popularity of the Batman show.
Yeah?
Like, totally.
Because there's a Riddler.
Yeah, the splash panel is we see the Joker, the Penguin, the Toyman, and the Prankster, like in adjacent prison cells, being given gifts by the anti-Superman and the anti-Batman. Who are these guys? Well, let's dig into our story and find out. Doodle-doo.
All right. Commissioner Gordon meets Perry White
at the Fortress of Solitude.
Yeah. So they... okay. So Batman and Superman are there, and they're there, and they're going to have Candor Day. So Batman and Superman are going to go down there, and I'm not sure why Commissioner Gordon's here.
I think because reasons.
Yeah.
But anyway, Perry White's going to do a story about Candor and talk about some of the exploits of Superman and Batman, and I think Commissioner Gordon knows about a lot of those cases, and so he's going to tell him some stuff. Now, Superman has statues of like some of his villains in the Fortress of Solitude and Batman's foes, and it's weird.
Luthor, Brainiac, very good villains. The Prankster and Toyman, you got to be kidding.
Who are the worst? And it's like, why aren't like Metallo or Bizarro there? Those are like the top super villains, at that time.
Why not Bizarro? Yeah. I didn't think of Metallo either.
Metallo only really had a couple of Silver Age appearances. Is why he was popular, but yeah. But Prankster and Toyman, they serve the purposes of this story. But I think they're lame. I mean, Toyman is okay, but I hate the Prankster.
Yeah, he looks like Alfred E. Newman on a bad day.
So, anyway, go ahead.
So, let's see.
And of course, as Perry White and Commissioner Gordon are talking, they get talking about Batman's villains.
Yeah.
The Joker, the Penguin, Catwoman, and the Riddler.
Yep, and those are all good. Okay, so
yeah.
Although the Riddler wouldn't be there without the show.
No, because he was really he was a recurring Bat villain, but he was a minor recurring villain.
Who would take his place?
As far as other major villains at the time?
Yeah.
I think who would have been bigger? Mr. Freeze.
Yeah.
Probably appeared more, or Clayface, who there's no way they could have done him in the 60s.
Right.
But those were two major recurring Bat villains. Two-Face also was established at this time, and I think was a bigger deal than the Riddler. They almost did Two-Face, but they decided that was going to be too grotesque for show in the 60s. A guy disfigured.
Too bad.
Yeah. It would have been great.
Yeah, I understand. They made the right decision, though. But I wish they could have made... here's for adults over the age 18. Watch this, but...
Yeah.
But I hear nothing wrong, nothing bad about Batman. That is a thing to do, was not... Because that would have freaked kids out back then.
Yeah. But, I think... Of course, I think the Riddler and the Joker are fun.
Mm-hmm.
But, I always kind of lean on... I like Batman's villains that actually have powers. So Mr. Freeze and Clayface and guys like that are more fascinating to me, because Batman he's peak human condition, and he's got to use his combat skills and his wits and his detective stuff.
But the Riddler has riddling power.
Boo. Although he is fun. So.
Oh, I love the Riddler. So. All right. Suddenly, okay, all right. Batman and Robin, they finished with the Candor thing on Candor Day, and come up, and here comes somebody is being who's not Superman, It turns out it's an anti-Superman and there's an anti-Batman.
So, anti-Superman and anti-Batman, they have their costumes are identical to Superman and Batman's, except they're like darker colors, and the anti-Superman wears a mask.
Yeah. Actually, they're similar to what Superman wears today in the movies.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Which I don't approve. I think it's too dark. It's anti-Superman. So.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a can of worms that I'm like I can't get into this right now.
Okay. All right. Man, but the Anti-Mobile is pink with a bat on it.
Looks more purple to me, but
Oh, is it? Okay. Pinkish purplish.
okay. It doesn't matter. It's anti-Batman's his wheels.
Yeah. Is it the same car except a different color?
I don't know.
It looks very similar.
To the Batmobile. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's almost, yeah. So, they're being chased by the Anti-Mobile has been chased by the Batmobile, and the Anti-Mobile makes the Batmobile run into Batman and Robin statues.
Yeah. On the outskirts of Gotham City, it says, "Welcome to Gotham City, home of Batman and Robin,"
Yeah.
and there's statues right there.
And Robin's almost killed by the bust of Batman.
Yeah.
Oh man! So some really cool fights.
We find that somebody has stolen all of Batman's files from the Batcave,
Mm-hmm.
and he has like old library type card
Like a
file
card
drawer,
catalog.
Yeah. which is great.
So for some reason, and I don't understand this,
Our villains
the villains.
steal trophies related to Superman and Batman's foes, and then present them to them in their prison cells. And
Right.
for some reason, these little statuettes of these guys mean something to them.
Yeah. And
But it's a cool way to have cameos by all these villains,
yeah. I guess.
and they're delivered by bats or bat robots or something like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's weird
Yeah.
because apparently, here's a weird thing. Okay, all these things that they're giving the bad guys
Yeah.
were presented to Batman or Superman respectively for bringing those criminals to justice.
Uh-huh.
I think it's weird how Silver Age DC seems to be obsessed with trophies, souvenirs, awards, stuff like that, fan clubs. It's a weird thing. Like it.
Huh. Yeah. For crying out loud, Jimmy Olsen has a fan club. Although I'd be president, but he started one today.
But it's super odd. Like I've never read a Marvel comic or a comic from any other company where like the hero has all these trophies from their adventures.
Yeah. The only fan club Marvel has is Foom and all that.
But that was a real fan club.
Right. That's
and that even Foom was preceded by the Merry Marvel Marching Society.
Right. Yeah, but
Foom stands for Friends of Old Marvel, by the way.
yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, Foom is a defunct group too.
Yeah, but it was a real
Organization.
It was real with real people in it, not comic book. And yeah, that is odd. And what in the world? A lot of times it gets them in trouble too, especially Jimmy's. Oh, I had this. Oh well.
Because sometimes the souvenirs they have are like dangerous things or MacGuffins that villains steal, or Although I remember reading one Jimmy Olsen where he is at the scene of a crime, like a fire at a chemical plant, and Superman shows up and at super speed, and he spins real fast, and he sucks up all the chemical gas, but he spins so fast he sends Jimmy through the time barrier, and Jimmy goes back to Smallville when Superboy was Superboy there.
Yeah.
And then he learns that Clark Kent is Superboy and tells him, so Jimmy hangs around in Smallville in the past, having some time with Superboy.
Right.
And then Superboy sends him to the future, back to the future, and Jimmy thinks, I got the biggest scoop. Well, he gives him this element that he had gotten from like the Legion or somebody that made him, by carrying it made him forget. And I wish I could remember what it was called.
Forgetium.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And it was a great story. I loved it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. I wonder what started that. And Batman, the big penny and the big dinosaur in Batman's Batcave.
Now I've read those stories.
Yeah,
those are
me
both
too.
reprinted in an 80-page giant or a 100-page super
I
spectacular.
would like to read those.
Yeah, it's so funny because traditionally we see whenever we see the dinosaur in the Batcave, it's a Tyrannosaurus or an Allosaur or something.
Yeah.
In the story, it's a robot brontosaur.
Yeah, and everybody knows Brontosaurus. I mean, they might step on you, but
Yeah, but anyway,
yeah, it is odd. So what's
weird.
what's
I
the
could have
deal
swore
here?
that we did read that story, but I guess not. Anyway,
I don't. I think I remember that.
yeah.
Well, maybe not. I'm getting senile in my old age.
No,
No.
I think I might have read it and sold that book before we started doing the show together. So
No. Okay.
sorry.
That's okay. All right. So, anti-Batman, anti-Superman are fighting Superman and Batman, respectively.
Yes.
And it's pretty actually decent fighting, and
Well, yeah. I always, Mort Weisinger shied away from having, the world's strongest man fight the world's second strongest man.
mhm,
Like that was kind of like what they didn't want to do. But it's actually really what I want to see a lot in Superman.
right.
So we finally get to see it. I mean, there were stories where they basically did that. But they didn't lean hard on it. So
So one of the things is they Batman and Robin figure out that the antis don't know. They know everything about them except what their real identity is,
right,
which is interesting.
yeah, and so they're also trying to figure out who are the anti-Superman, anti-Batman.
And it's actually shocked me. It's Commissioner Gordon and Perry White.
Because back in the beginning, when they were in the Fortress of Solitude because reasons, they knocked over something in Superman's laboratory when they were snooping around, and they got exposed to this gas that turned them,
Formula X-22,
which turned them temporarily evil. And then they found something else in his lab that would make them temporarily younger.
yeah, and
And they
super
found a
strong.
formula that would give one of them superpowers,
Mm-hmm.
which is weird because I don't know why the other didn't get powers too, decide to. But, whatever.
Yeah, one word, comics, I guess.
Yeah. So, but of course it wears off, and so everything's fine. But yeah, weird story, but fun.
Wow, a cool Evil Knievel ad. So,
Yeah. Oh, on the very back page, yeah.
mhm. Oh,
That
man.
Evil Knievel, toy, that cycle where you pull the cord and
Yeah.
it goes going. That's one of the most sought after and expensive collectibles in toy collecting.
Supposedly it was tough as nails.
Yeah.
And people loved it. And what a interesting...
And what a weird celebrity that Evil Knievel was in the 70s. He was huge.
Yeah. He was in a movie about himself, playing himself.
Yeah. And then there was
Yeah.
also a movie where George Hamilton played him.
Which is really, really good.
Yeah.
At least I enjoyed it when it came out on TV. Maybe a piece of junk. I don't know. So,
Yeah.
But Evil Knievel, as Evil Knievel, goes to the hospital and gives this crippled boy one of his Evil Knievel action figures, and the kid walks.
Really?
He couldn't walk before.
Wow.
Yeah.
That-
That's the power of Evil Knievel.
Wow. Beware the power of evil. Yay.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then it's so funny, there was this guy, the Human Fly, who was another Daredevil of the 70s,
Mhm.
who had kind of a rivalry or an imagined rivalry with Evil Knievel,
Yeah.
and there was that. And that guy had his own comic book series, The Human Fly, Marvel Comics.
I'll be darned.
Yeah. And the tagline was like, he's the greatest superhero of all because he's real, or the most unique, or whatever the adjective
Right.
was.
Mhm.
So that was kind of funny.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
But he
Let
was
us
more
live
of
in
a...
Kansas. He'd be useless.
What now?
They stick the Human Fly in Kansas, he'd be useless because
Why?
he couldn't climb up anything.
Well, it wasn't like he had climbing powers or anything. He was just a daredevil.
I know when he climbed buildings and crawls.
I guess, yeah, but
I mean, what else would a Human Fly do?
I don't know, daredevil stuff.
I
But,
don't know. Would he go to? I don't know. Would he be going eating cow crap or something? That was the way real flies do, and then buzz around and work.
I don't think. I think the name is just kind of loosely based. It's not like literal like of things that he does.
Well, yeah, I don't think that he's has wings and has how many eyes, you know.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
But I mean, a human fly to me is if someone called themselves a human fly, I would expect them to be able to climb up walls and.
Yeah, he didn't do any of that stuff.
Then what the devil did he do?
Because it was a real life Daredevil who decided to give himself that name.
Oh, people do climb buildings.
Okay,
But
man.
I'm going to look this up. So. You brought it up, man. So.
Man, and you just took it into like Weirdville. But anyway, the thing about the human fly was he didn't like in his comic, he wasn't like out to like fight crime. He was just being a daredevil and like would stumble into adventures.
Yeah.
Which is also not as cool, you know, like you try to say this guy's a superhero, but he's really not.
Yeah,
I mean,
Jessica
he did meet
Fletcher syndrome. You know, Jessica Fletcher goes to a town. There's a murder. I think it's Jessica Fletcher from
yeah,
because
she was a novelist who solved all those murders.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I remember the one time there was one where Bill Shatner was the murderer and he had the big porn stash. It was great.
Yeah. He was on Columbo too a couple of times.
Yeah.
He did a good villain job.
Cool.
As was Leonard Nimoy as a doctor, a surgeon. And
oh no, I remember Leonard Nimoy came on T.J. Hooker.
Ooh.
And he was T.J. Hooker's old partner. I'm using air quotes.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
So.
That's great. All right. Well, we'll see you next time in the funny pages.